بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the first episode of our show, The Fruits of the Qur'an. Now today's verses are going to be verses numbering 51 until verse 58 from Surah Al-Hijr. And they read, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وَنَبِّئْهُمْ عَنْ ضَيْفِ إِبْرَاهِيمَ. And inform them, O Muhammad, about the guests of Ibrahim. So Allah here is talking to the Prophet ﷺ, and he's telling him the story about the guests of Ibrahim. So he says, وَنَبِّئْهُمْ, as inform them, inform, O Muhammad, your people, about the guests of Ibrahim, the angels that came to Ibrahim. And Allah continues and he says, بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذ دخلوا عليه فقالوا سلاما قال إنا منكم وجلون. And when they entered upon him, they said peace, salam. So he said, Ibrahim alayhi salam, he replied by saying, إنا منكم وجلون, which translates to, we are frightened of you. So Ibrahim alayhi salam was frightened of the angels because they seemed strange and they seemed frightening to him. So we learn, the first fruit that we learn from this verse is that when the angels, they entered upon Ibrahim alayhi salam, the first thing they did was not introduce themselves, not get right to the business, right to the point where they came for, but the first thing they said was as-salam. They said salamun. So we learn from this is that when we enter upon a people, when we meet someone, the first thing we do is say the Islamic greeting of as-salam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. That's fruit number one. And we continue. قالوا لا توجل إنا نبشرك بغلام عليم. So the angels, they replied to Ibrahim alayhi salam, they said, لا توجل, do not be afraid. We are here to give you glad tidings of a wise child. So Ibrahim alayhi salam, he replied by saying, قال أبشرتموني على أن مسني الكبر فبما تبشرون. Do you come here to give me glad tidings of a child, even though I have reached this old age? What is it that you are here to inform me about? Ibrahim alayhi salam was amazed here. He was amazed about how will he have a child, or how will he bear a child while he is at this very old age. So the angels, they understood from his speech something, and they replied by saying, قالوا نبشرك بالحق فَلَا تَكُن مِّنَ الْقَانِتِينَ. They said, we are here to inform you about the truth, give you glad tidings about the truth. Verily, you will bear a child. It is something that is certain, Allah has ordained it. So, فَلَا تَكُن مِّنَ الْقَانِتِينَ. So do not be of those who despair. So they told him, they understood from what he said, from his amazement about how can he have a child, they thought that he was doubting the ability of Allah to give him a child at this old age, because no one bears children at this old age. So he was amazed. Yet the angels thought that he doubted the ability of Allah to give him a child at this old age. So they judged what Ibrahim alayhi salam said according to its apparent meaning. They do not know what is in the heart of Ibrahim, so they told him, do not be of those who despair. So he replied alayhi salam by saying, قال ومن يقنط من رحمة ربه إلا الضالون. And he said, and only those who are astray or who are misguided, only those people can despair from the mercy of Allah. So he was telling them, I do not despair from the mercy of Allah because I am not misguided. If I were to be misguided, I would despair from the mercy of Allah as to the might of Allah. So he was explaining to them that no, I am not despairing, I was only amazed because I am not misguided. Only those who are misguided despair from the mercy of Allah. So they judged him according to the apparent meaning of what he said, which is his amazement as to how can he have a child. He did not mean he was doubting Allah, he was only amazed at the might of Allah. But they judged what he said according to its apparent meaning. So we learn from this, the second fruit we learn is that it is halal, it is permissible for us to judge things according to their apparent meaning or according to how they seem to be. And the third fruit we understand from this is that the angels do not know what is in the hearts. Because some people say, the jinn know what's in the hearts, the angels might know what is in the hearts, but only Allah knows what is in the hearts. And proof from that is that if the angels knew what was in the heart of Ibrahim alayhi salam, they would have known that he was not in despondence, he was not despairing from the mercy of Allah, he was only amazed. So if they knew what was in the heart, they would have known that he was not despairing, he was not despondent. So that is the third fruit. Now we continue the verses by saying, then Ibrahim alayhi salam, he went on to ask them, okay, so why are you here? Is there something else that you're here for? So he said, فَمَا خَطْبُكُمْ أَيُّهَا الْمُرْسَلُونَ. What is your business here, O messengers? Are you here just to give me glad tidings of a child? Or are you here for something else? So they responded by saying, قَالُوا إِنَّا أُرْسِلْنَا إِلَىٰ قَوْمٍ مُجْرِمِينَ. And they said, we have been sent to a tribe or a people of criminals. So they informed him about what else they were here for. So the fourth fruit we learned from those verses is that when we have two pieces of news, the angels, they had two objectives. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He sent them with two objectives. The first objective was to inform Ibrahim about a wise child that Allah will be giving to him. And the second piece of news was a bad piece of information, which included that the angels were sent to destroy the people of Lut, a tribe of criminals who are the people of Lut. So they had two pieces of news. One was good, which is a wise child, and the other was bad, which is the destruction of the people of Lut. But they chose to inform him about the good news first, and then to inform him about the bad news. So the fourth fruit we learn from those verses is that when we have two pieces of news, one good and one bad, we start by informing who we are here to inform with the good news first, and then we tell him or her about the bad news. So those are the four fruits we learn from the verses. Number one, when we start a conversation with someone, we start by saying Assalamu alaikum. Number two, the angels do not know what is in the hearts. Number three, it is permissible, halal, for us to judge things which are situations or statements of people according to their apparent literal meanings. And number four, when we have two pieces of news, we start by saying the good news first, and then we go on to say the bad news. And then alhamdulillah, we have now come to the end of the fruits of those verses. And until we meet next time, inshallah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, wa akhiru da'wana anna alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.